Hi, I'm Regular Zach, and this is my limited set review for the Final Fantasy Magic the Gathering set. Today we're talking all about the black cards, and remember this is a limited set review, so we're only talking about cards in the context of limited, so that's draft and sealed. We are not talking about standard or commander or anything like that. I'm also going to be putting all these cards on a rating scale from A to F. So A's are bombs. These are the best cards in your deck, the most exciting ones, and the ones you probably are showing off to your friends. B's are the cards that are like really solid. These are ones that pull you actively into those colors. These are cards that you see pick 5 and you're like, oh, wow, this deck's open? Okay, I'll go into that. C's are the majority of what your deck is. They're all like very playable. They're good cards, but you're not extremely excited by them, but you need a lot of them to play the game. And then D's are bad, actively bad. These are ones that you hope you never have to play, but every once in a while they sneak into your deck just because you didn't have anything else. Maybe the draft was kind of like a train wreck. And then F's are under no circumstances are you putting this deck. It is horrible. It would be better just to be playing a land instead because they don't do anything in draft. They're meant for something else, and yeah, they're bad. So we're starting off with the commons. First up is Heck Dies, which is 1 and a black for a 1/1 creature ooze horror at common. It says when this creature enters, each opponent discards a card. All right, we have seen this card many, many times, and it always is pretty good. It just turns out that, a 2-mana play that makes your opponent discard a card, you always get a card out of their hand. That's always nice. The set has a lot of like sacrifice themes, so this like the sack fodder is going to be great. It blocks all the like X ones really well. Yeah, I'm going to give this a C+. These are great, super helpful, and yeah, you'll want them in your deck. Next up is Undercity Dire Rat, which is 1 and a black for a 2/2 creature rat at common. It has a ability called Rat Tail. It says when this creature dies, create a treasure token. So a 2-mana 2/2 dies into a treasure. Is totally fine. Dying into something is nice. The biggest thing I will say about this is that normally I would kind of think of this as like a C-. I'm going to bump it up just a little bit to a C because all the sacrifice themes care about artifacts as well, and having treasure tokens that sacrifice themselves will be helpful in that archetype. I will probably pick the Heck Dies first over this card. You will probably get as many of these as you... Maybe not as many as you want, but you don't have to prioritize this card. Next up is Black Mage's Rod, which is 1 and a black for an artifact equipment at common. It has Job Select, which means that when it enters the battlefield, you create a hero creature token that's a 1/1, and you attach this to it. So I think of a lot of these as actual creatures. So it says equipped a creature gets +1/+0 and has whenever you cast a non-creature spell, this creature deals 1 damage to each opponent and is a wizard in addition to its other types. The equip cost is 3. So the cool thing about this is that it is a non-creature spell. So you will probably want a lot of these if you're playing in this non-creature deck. One of the black decks cares about playing a bunch of non-creature spells, like a lot of cheap ones. And this is one of the cards you're going to really want because it is a body on the board. It's a 2/1, which is great. So it does trade off if you need it to, but it also damages your opponent whenever you're playing more Black Mage's Rods, which make more wizards that do the same thing. So yeah, I think this card's pretty good. This is probably also like for that deck like a C+. I'm happy with the Black Mage's Rod, and then being able to put that ability on one of your other creatures and turn them into a wizard to do the wizard thing. That's going to be pretty helpful whenever your creature trades off. All right, next up we have Resentful Revelation. It's 1 and a black for a sorcery at common. Look at the top 3 cards of your library, put one of them into your hand and the rest into your graveyard, and it has flashback for 6 and a black. So of course flashback means you can play it from your graveyard and then you exile it. Flashback cards in general are usually quite powerful because you just get inherent card advantage from being able to cast them again. A lot of times, even though it looks like it's an extremely expensive cost, which it is, 7 is a lot, but, being able to do things in the game is much better, and especially if the format goes really long and people are just trying to look for things to do, this is one of the things that can help you do that. With that being said, you do definitely want to be in the graveyard-centric deck, which, of course, we're in black, so that's not going to be too hard. And yeah, I like this. This is a bread and butter card. I think it's probably just a C, though. It doesn't affect the board. So it kind of it matters on like the speed of the format. If not affecting the board on turn 2 is going to be important. But this is also a card you can play kind of throughout your curve. But you know, we'll just give it a C, and we'll see how it goes. Next up, we have Vane's Treachery, which is 1 and a black for an instant at common. It has kicker, sacrifice an artifact or creature. It's additional cost to play the spell. And then it says target creature gets -2/-2 until end of turn. If the spell was kicked, that creature gets -6/-6 instead. Sick. I like this a lot. I'm excited for the sacrifice deck, and this is like the removal spell you're going to want. It kills just about everything. It's instant speed, which is really important, and you don't have to be sacrificing things to kill stuff. So it's always cheap. So the cost doesn't change. It's just whether you're going to sacrifice an artifact or creature. And if you have some of the creatures we saw earlier, this card's going to be perfect. This is like a B-. You're going to want this card, and it's going to probably be one of the reasons why slow decks don't, fast decks, might not be able to beat some of these black decks. Great card, B-. Next up, we have Vincent's Limit Break, which is 1 and a black for an instant at common. It's a tiered spell. And it says, until end of turn, target creature you control gains. When this creature dies, return it to the battlefield tapped under its owner's control, and it has the chosen base power and toughness. Now, the tiered part is that you can pay different modes. So it's similar to the kicker we just saw, except for you can pay one of these 3 things. So you have a little bit more choices. So the base thing is just 2 mana, so you pay 0 extra, and it just comes back base power as a 3/2. You can pay 1 extra, which is Death Gigas? I'm not sure. Anyway, it turns the creature into a 5/2, and then a Hellmasker, if you pay 5 total mana, it's a 7/2. This card is pretty weird, because we have had a lot of cards like this in the past where black cares about, you know, if this creature would die, it comes back, and all that stuff. But this changes it inherently, and it puts it into a different type of deck. Usually, you want to be trying to, like, if your big creature was going to get killed, you get to bring it back, or it was trading off in combat and you get to bring your big creature back. This kind of cares a little bit more about smaller creatures because you get to upgrade them with this spell. And you really... the fact that the toughness does not go up is pretty brutal, because then it is going to just die again to something, maybe like a 2-drop or something. So making it the giant 7/2 creature, I don't know how exciting that is. But the fact for 2 mana you get to bring it back, if you use your Heck dies, it dies, and then you get to play this, bring it back, they discard another card. Now it's a 3/2 Heck dies or a 5/2 Heck dies. I don't know, I kind of like that. That seems all right. But in the end, it's very situational. So I want to see the upside of this. I really like a lot of the tiered spells, but this is probably one of my least favorite ones. So I'm going to give this like a D+. But I really like the design. I just don't think it's going to be extremely good. That's it. Next up, we have Arammon, which is 2 and a black for a 2/2 creature eye horror at common. It has flying and death touch, and it has an activated ability where you can pay 3 mana, sacrifice another creature or artifact to draw a card. Okay, this one's kind of hard because, you know, a 3 mana 2/2 flying death touch is totally reasonable. I like death touch creatures in general, just because your opponent's going to have to use a card to kill it no matter what. Like, there's nothing in combat or nothing in their hand that they can use to kill it without using a card. They have to use a card on it. So I like that. The activated ability for this is expensive. 3 mana to sacrifice a creature and draw a card is a lot, because it's not nothing to lose a creature or artifacts and stuff, even though you're going to have a bunch of little fodder or whatever. There's probably some random wizards or tokens or things like that. I don't think this is what the sacrifice decks want to do. I just really don't. I think that there's going to be other things you need to do, and this card's just kind of there sometimes, but I don't think you really want it. So I'm going to say that this is like a D. I don't really like it. Sorry, horror guy. Next up is Quitrub Forer. Quitrub Forer. There we go. It is 2 and a black for a 3/2 creature zombie horror at common. It says when this creature enters, choose one. Destroy target creature that was dealt damage this turn, or exile up to 2 target cards from a single graveyard. All right. It does have an ETB, which is nice, because then later you can like just sacrifice it for something. So you do get something on the way in, but those things are usually not very strong. The destroy target creature that was dealt damage this turn is not great text, because oftentimes you lose a card. It's a very specific situation where you have to like attack with some creatures, like you're chump attacking, and your opponent decides to block, even though this could be easily the thing that's in your hand. So that's kind of telegraphed a lot of the time, and people don't fall into that trap a lot, especially because it doesn't have flash. And then it says exiling 2 cards from a single graveyard could be something. There's a little bit of recursion, but the biggest thing is the flashback spells, I'd say, so you get to nab some of those. But your opponent already played the front part most of the time, unless they're just milling. I don't think we're excited to play this card either. I think it has some utility, but this is just like, this is another D. We kind of ran into like a slew of Ds here. I don't like a lot of these. Sorry, Black. Next up, we have ShinraReinforcements, which is 2 and a black for a 2/3 creature human soldier at common. It says when this creature enters, mill 3 cards and you gain 3 life. All right, so these usually work pretty well. Having card like the 3-drop that's a 2/3 that mills you is nice. The biggest problem is that you don't get anything back. A lot of times this is like a green card where you get to get a land back from the graveyard. And this just gains you some life, which there is some life gain stuff, so that's not nothing. It might help some of your, like in a black-white deck, you might have some things trigger off of that. But I think this will be pretty good in the sense that you will put this in your deck if you're milling stuff. I just wish we got something back out of it. So it's like a C- because it doesn't draw you a card. The ones where you mill and draw a card and have a body, those are usually very good. And this seems like helpful, but not phenomenal. So like a C- for the reinforcements. Next up, we have Fight On, which is 2 and a black for an instant at common. It says return up to 2 target creature cards from your graveyard to your hand. 3 mana to return 2 cards from to your hand at instant speed. That is really big. We never really get these at instant speed unless they're super expensive. So that's really cool. I'm happy with that, and drawing 2 creature cards. There is a lot of graveyardy stuff, and the other big thing with Fight On is that this can get summon creatures back, because you will be losing them. They just always go to the graveyard. Obviously, lots of creatures go to the graveyard, but the fact that there is inherently powerful spells that will be just getting dumped in the graveyard, I think that makes this like a C. I think we're happy to have this as our pseudo draw spell in black, where you're milling stuff, or things get in the graveyard and you get to draw cards out of it. I think it's totally playable, but not amazing. But yeah, I like it. Fight On. Next up, we have Cornered by Black Mages, which is 1 black for a sorcery at common. It says target opponent sacrifices a creature of their choice and create a 0/1 black wizard creature token with whenever you cast a non-creature spell. This token deals 1 damage to each opponent, which is the big wizard thing. Yes, this gets rid of a creature. And yes, it kind of is a creature, but it's the non-creature thing. Look, we were talking about before with the Black Mage's Rod. So if you're looking for this deck, I think just cards that have Black Mage in the title or pictures of Black Mages, probably just put them in that deck. Though the fact that your opponent gets to choose what they're sacrificing is kind of bad, and the fact that it's 1 black is hard. The double black for not being able to pick your target and making just a 0/1. It doesn't proc the 4 mana value things. So if you're playing in sometimes black-red or black-blue, there will be some cards that care about spells that are 4 or more. And so this is 3, which is kind of annoying. I think it's like a C. It's totally fine, but not being able to choose what you're getting rid of is difficult. So there's that. But remember that this is kind of like a creature. All right, next up we have Namazu Trader, which is 3 and a black for a 3/4 creature fish citizen at common. It says when this creature enters, you lose 1 life and create a treasure token. And whenever this creature attacks, you may sacrifice another creature or artifact. If you do, surveil 2. So surveilling 2 by sacrificing something, you do get a treasure on the way in. So it gets at least 1 surveil, essentially. The body is kind of nice, but again, I don't know if this is exactly what we want in the sacrificey deck. Sacrificing something just to surveil 2 just doesn't feel good enough. It just doesn't seem like great. This also feels like a D. I'm not like obsessed. It just doesn't do enough. The body is good though, but I just don't think that this is like, we're not happy for this like attack sack payoff thing. It's just upsetting. Next up, we have Sepharoths Intervention, which is 3 and a black for an instant at common. It says destroy target creature, you gain 2 life. Sweet. That's great. Yeah, this 4 mana is pretty expensive for our like just murder variant, because most of the time we get this at 3 mana. But there is the reason this is 4 mana is because there's a lot of cards that care about 4 mana value or more as far as like spells you're casting or non-creature ones. So this fits the bill for that. You also get to gain life, which there are some synergies, so that might be helpful for other situations. And it's instant speed, and it does destroy everything. And I think destroying everything will be important in the set. It kind of looks like a boring card, because it seems like an expensive thing. But ultimately, I think this set will be kind of slow, and this card's going to be the thing that kills whatever you want. So this is like a B. This is probably the best common black spell, because a lot of them not super exciting. It is expensive, but I think this set will be slow enough that you will be able to cast this routinely and be totally happy with it. Next up, we have Malbor Borro, which is 4 black for a 4/4 creature plant horror at common. It has an ability called Bad Breath. When this creature enters, each opponent discards a card, loses 2 life, and exiles the top 3 cards of their library. It's kind of funny. It's like 1, 2, and 3. That's great. Discard 1 card, lose 2 life, exile 3 cards. And it's a 4/4. I like when cards are kind of like that, so that's fun. Anyway, it also has Swamp Cycling. This one of the cyclers, I have been rating them pretty low, because in general I think that the cycling thing is the swamp cycling for 2 or the land cycling for like 2 mana is not amazing. I think the basic land cycling is quite a bit better because it fixes whatever you want, but ultimately these cyclers have not been great in the past. This one does do a lot when it comes in, like you're getting a card out of your opponent's hand, they lose life, and you exile stuff. I think that's wrapped up into enough things that I would be really upset if my opponent played this card against me. So I'm going to give this like a C- instead of a D. The other ones I were giving Ds, but this one I think I do like this one a bit better. So C- for the Malbor Borro. All right, moving into the uncommons, we have Tonberry, which is a single black for a 2/1 creature salamander horror at uncommon. It says this creature enters tapped with a stun counter on it, which means it doesn't untap. You just remove the stun counter, and then it will untap the following turn. It has an ability called Chef's Knife, which says during your turn, this creature has First Strike and Death Touch. Okay. Chef's Knife. First Strike and Death Touch is fantastic because nobody can block you, basically. Like, you will kill any creature that gets in combat with you. That's a very, very deadly combination. And I love it. And I love that it's on this card. So you get this on turn 1, it's stunned and taps. Turn 2, you take the stun counter off. Turn 3, it untaps, you get to attack. So best case scenario, this is down on turn 1, so you're attacking on turn 3. It seems quite aggressive. It is extremely undefensive in the sense that if this had First Strike and Death Touch on, like if this had Death Touch all the time, but only First Strike on your turn, I think I would like it so much better, because at least it'd have more utility. This really has the one thing of you have to be attacking every turn with it, but you do basically get a free attack because your opponent can't do anything. They have to block with 3 creatures to get rid of this thing, because you'll First Strike the first 2, because you only need to deal 1 damage to kill it, and then the 3rd creature will trade with the Tonberry. So if you get your opponent to do that, you're extremely happy, but majority of the time they're just not going to block this, or they're just going to kill it with a spell from their hand. But that, I think that all wraps into like, this is like a C+. It doesn't, if it had Death Touch all the time, I think it might be a B. But because it's really kind of has this one situation that it does, I think a C+ is pretty good for the Tonberry. Really cool card. Also very thematic, I've heard. Next up, we have Demon Wall, which is 1 and a black for a 3/3 artifact creature. Demon Wall at uncommon. It's funny that its creature type is the same as its title. that's good. Anyway, it's a defender with menace, which is pretty funny because those creatures can't attack. It says as long as this creature has a counter on it, it can attack as though it didn't have defender. There we go. So any kind of counter makes your 2 mana 3/3 attack. It also has an activated ability for 5 and a black, 6 mana total. You can put 2 +1/+1 counters on this creature, and you can do that as many times as you like. So in the end game, this is just a 2 mana, like you can turn this into a 5/5 menace, and then it becomes a 7/7 menace, and then a 9/9 menace. That's cool. I think that's really, really interesting. We usually have blue cards that do this type of thing where they're playing the, oh, I'm a wall until this thing happens. If you can get more counters on it and do different things, that will be exciting. Like if you get counters on it in a different way. 6 mana is a lot, and I think that there's a lot of other things we're going to be wanting to do with our mana. I don't think this is our game plan. This is like a backup to a backup plan. So I'm going to give this like a C. It's totally fine. There's a lot of words on this card. But I think I like Tonberry more. I'm more excited for that card. But this, we'll have to see what happens with this. But it's very good at blocking, that's for sure. Next up, we have Reno Rude, which is 1 and a black for a 2/1 legendary creature, human assassinate uncommon. It has menace, because there's 2 of them, I guess. And it says, whenever Reno Rude deals combat damage to a player, exile the top card of that player's library. Then you may sacrifice another artifact or creature. If you do, you may play the exiled card this turn, and mana of any type can be spent to cast it. Okay. This is a lot more interesting. I like this as the sack payoff, because... so hopefully you're playing like a really aggressive deck. I think the sacrifice deck will be quite aggressive. So you get to attack in with this guy. You always get to exile the top card of their library. And then you get to decide whether you want to sacrifice something to play it, which is big game. You don't just have to like sacrifice something and then hope it's something good, and then you just like wasted your sacrifice. This lets you actually look at the cards, and you know, this isn't going to happen. You're going to mill your opponent out, but it will be really aggravating when your opponent has to see the cards that are getting exiled. So really happy with this. This is like I don't know, we're probably saying I say like a C+, but I'm going to give this, I'm actually a little bit more excited for this card. I'm going to give it like a B-. I think that this plays enough of like the Ragavan-y joke that, I don't know, we're going to like this card, and it's going to be really annoying. All right, next up is Poison the Waters, which is 1 and a black for a sorcery at uncommon. It says choose 1. All creatures get -1/-1 until end of turn, or target player reveals their hand. You choose an artifact or creature card from it. That player discards that card. Now, a lot of times we get this type of effect for 3 mana. I think that 2 goes a really long way. And we also have a bunch of X1s with like the job select cards, all those like equipment, as well as like all the little 0/1 wizards and stuff. So this is kind of an interesting spot in the deck being able to, or I think this will be actually worth playing. A lot of those other ones feel extremely situational, but on 2 mana, it just changes the whole game. And like I've said this before, I think that this format is going to be kind of slow just because of like the threats that we have. There's a lot of really expensive bombs and stuff, and Poison the Water will help you get rid of your opponent's big bombs, while also either doing it on turn 2 or while double spelling. And the mana value going down to 2 is huge here to me. So I'm going to give this like a C+. Normally this type of card would be closer to like a D, where you really don't really play this at all. But I think it's going to be good enough, and there will be bombs you have to get rid of or combo piece things, and this card can do that. So yeah, C+ for the Poison the Waters. So I do like it. Next up, we have all Bed Salvagers, which is 2 and a black for a 2/3 creature, human, artificer, warrior at uncommon. It says whenever this creature or another creature or artifact you control dies, target opponent loses 1 life and you gain 1 life. Hell yeah, this is what we want. This is the card that we need for the sacrifice deck. It is extremely important, and in that deck, this is like a B+. This is very, very good, and you need it for that deck. I like that it's a defensive body as like a 2/3. That deck's probably going to want to chump a bunch. It procs off of everything itself, other creatures, and artifacts. Obviously, it's only creatures that you control and all that stuff, but still, you get to gain life as well. It's like full on. This is awesome. Like this card so much. Very strong, and the must-have card for your sacrifice decks. If I see this card like pick 5, I'm like, it's open, let's go, kind of thing. Like, yes, this is what you need for the sacrifice deck. No one can tell me otherwise. This is what you want. All right, next up we have Shambling Seath, which is 2 and a black for a 3/3 creature mutant horror at uncommon. Oh, it's a mutant? Oh, is there a face on this? It kind of looks like a statue. Okay, it says this creature enters tapped, and whenever you cast a non-creature spell, you may pay 1. If you do, return this card from your graveyard to your hand. So this looks like it's supposed to kind of be in the non-creature spell thing, the wizard deck, where like you get to play this and it just comes back over and over and over again. It could also be played in the sacrifice deck because you get to get it over and over and over again. But it is kind of expensive. It's 4 mana to do the whole loop. Which, like, you know, we've had worse loops than that, and they've been kind of helpful, but I think through all that, this is fine. I don't think you're excited to play this card. I think it will do some things. The fact that it enters tapped is so brutal, because you can't just, like, every turn play it, chump, play it, chump, play it. Like, you don't get to have that, like, I don't know, sequence of events, which is what you would want if your opponent is attacking you with a big giant thing. So this is probably like a D. I'm not really excited to play this card. It might surprise me, but I don't think it will. Next up, we have Dark Knight's Greatsword, which is 2 and a black for an artifact equipment at uncommon. It says Job Select, and equipped creature gets +3/+0 and is a knight in addition to its other types. So this is a 3 mana 4/1, and it also has the equip cost is you pay 3 life. You can only activate that once a turn. Okay, this card's cool. I like this. The fact that the equip cost is so cheap, as far as like your aggro decks will be really happy to play a card like this, because you know you can move it around. 3 life is a lot, but there are many ways to gain life in the format, and this could also go into that deck because you can move it around and don't really care. So 3 mana 4/1, it will just die to lots of stuff and trade off, but then giving every other creature +3/+0, that's just nice. I don't know. I like this card a lot. I think this could just be like in an aggressive deck. I want to give this like a B-, but overall it's probably just like a C+. We're really happy with this. It's also 2 pieces of cardboard in your sacrifice decks as well, if things go your way. So yeah, okay, C+ for the Great Sword. I'm not crazy high in a lot of these job select cards, but I think it's definitely cool. All right, next up, we have a great one. Overkill, which is 2 and a black for an instant and uncommon. Target creature gets -0, -9,999 until end of turn. What a joke. Just like definitely kill everything. Nothing is surviving this. But no, I think this card is obviously just, this is a B. This is a great removal spell. It kills everything. It's easy to cast because it only costs 1 black pip. It has instant speed. Any black deck wants this card. This is just great. Yeah, that's all I have to say. It's a great card and a fun joke. Next up, we have Gaius von Balsar, which is 2 black for a 3/2 legendary creature, human soldier at uncommon. It says when Gaius von Balsar enters, choose 1. Each player sacrifices a creature token of their choice. Each player sacrifices a non-token creature of their choice, and each player sacrifices an enchantment of their choice. Okay, this will do work. The fact that we have so many different choices is awesome. You can probably get in a situation where you are not sacrificing anything unless you do the non-token one, because obviously you're always going to have this guy around. But sacrificing your own stuff might not be terrible in sacrifice decks. Nabbing creature tokens, probably not super exciting. I don't think there's a bunch of big creature tokens in this one. But sacrificing enchantments, getting summons off the board super early before they attack or before they can really do everything, that will be helpful. I think this is like a B-. It always gets something, which makes me super happy. And you get to choose whichever one you want for the situation. Double black is harder to deal with, but I don't know. This is like a B-. Nice. Next up, we have Phantom Train, which is 3 and a black for a 4/4 artifact vehicle at uncommon. It has trample. So for a 4-mana 4/4 trample, it also says sacrifice another artifact or creature, put a +1/+1 counter on this vehicle. It becomes a spirit artifact creature in addition to its other types until end of turn. So this one's pretty interesting because it does not crew. You cannot crew it. You have to sacrifice something for it to be a creature. But you also get to do that kind of whenever. You can sacrifice a creature to turn it into a blocker. You get to like attack with it. It seems kind of strong, and it's a sacrifice outlet that does not cost mana. This is what I'm talking about. When we were talking about the eyeball guy earlier on Remand or whatever, because you had to pay 3 mana to sacrifice something, that's so brutal. But if you have a Phantom Train and you have your Bed Salvagers, you just get to sack whatever you want. It's also an artifact. I don't know. I like a lot of things about this Phantom Train, and I think it's going to be super helpful in that deck. And I think that sacrificing like a treasure token, and this is a 5/5 trampler all of a sudden, that's great, and it just goes up and up and up. It does turn into a spirit, so it can get killed by the Phoenix Down. Just remember that. But I don't know. I like Phantom Train a lot. You do have to be in the sacrifice deck for it to be good. In the sacrifice deck, it's probably like a B level card because it kind of combos. Like if you don't know the feeling of sacrificing something for free, having a free sack outlet, like it's very powerful. And I think that this continues that trend. In every other archetype, it's pretty bad, so it's probably closer to like a C+, but you really just want it in that sack deck. I don't think a lot of other decks will want it, but you never know. There could be some random hero tokens or random artifacts we don't care about anymore that you want to sacrifice for this. So I'm going to give it like a B-. I was originally thinking like C+, but let's give it a B-, but it's probably like a B+ in the sack deck. Yeah, cool card. Next up, we have Circle of Power, which is 3 and a black for a sorcery at uncommon. It says you draw 2 cards and you lose 2 life. Create a 0/1 black wizard creature token with whenever you cast a non-creature spell, this token deals 1 damage to each opponent. And it says wizards you control get +1/+0 and gain lifelink until end of turn. Okay, I think this card is pretty interesting. It goes in the wizards deck because you get to pump all your wizards. Really important that it gives +1/+0 because most of the wizard tokens are 0/1s. It also procs all the 4 mana value like spell thing, and so it goes into that deck as well as drawing new cards, which obviously both decks want you to do because when you're casting spells, you just tend to run out of cards. I think this card will be very helpful in all those situations, and you're gonna be very happy to be playing this. Maybe at the top of your curve, or maybe this is just part of your whole 4 power or 4 mana value thing. But yeah, I'm going to give this like a B-. I think Circle of Power will be great, and it's the kind of card where, you know, if your opponent has a bunch of wizards and then you play this, you're like, oh my god. Great, now all your stupid 0/1s I wasn't worried about to get to attack, and they pinged me a bunch. Obviously, you need a bunch more stuff going on for this to be great, but I don't know. I think it's going to be pretty good. Like a B- for Circle of Power. Next up, we have the Final Days, which is 2 black for a sorcery at uncommon. Create 2 tapped 2/2 black horror creature tokens. If this spell was cast from a graveyard, instead create X of those tokens, where X is the number of creature cards in your graveyard, and it has flashback for 4 black. Okay. This is sweet. I like this a lot. I think the mill decks are going to just have a field day with this card, and the fact that you get to play it like early and late is really nice. The flashback cost isn't extremely expensive, so even if you're just milling a bunch of stuff, you're like, sweet, I get to play this from my graveyard. That's just like gravy that you get for milling stuff. Making sure that you have a bunch of like creatures in your graveyard will be helpful for, there's a bunch of things that care about permanence and stuff. So obviously you want to very much focus on having tons of creatures, and you do have to be very conscious because there are a lot of, like we've been talking about it a lot, like the last card we talked about that made a creature. So sometimes we think about those cards as creatures. All the job select stuff you got to watch out for in this deck. So it does kind of have a specific spot. Like it wants to be in this specific type of deck, but it does make a lot of creatures. And I love stuff like this. But I do need to pull back a little bit because these tend to burn me a lot. And the tapped part, you create tapped tokens. It always feels like you can play this and you're like, man, if I could play this a turn earlier, I would have survived. And it doesn't always work that way. Or it's like, oh, if I had one more token, I'd be okay. So I want to give this a really high grade. I really do. I think it'll be great in those certain situations, but at least the big thing is that for 4 mana, you still get to make the 2/2s, even if your graveyard's empty. Which a lot of times these cards would just have one line of text be like, there's one in OTJ, we made a bunch of varmints, and it's like, oh, you get to make a bunch of varmints, but you have to have cards in your graveyard or it doesn't do anything. And so at least this one says, hey, early you get to make some 2/2s, and then later you get to do some other stuff. So I'm going to give it a B. I want to give it like a B+, or like, it's not an A, and B might be a little high. But I really like this card. I think it's a lot of fun, and hopefully you can make as many, like how many creature tokens do you have to make for you to be super happy? I don't know. You get 2 for sure, and then 5 more, 6 more. That would be crazy. Like even just 4 more for 6 mana is a lot. I don't know. I like this. I just like cards like this. They're fun. Next up, we have another graveyard card. It's Evil Reawakened, which is 4 and a black for a sorcery uncommon. Return target creature card from your graveyard to the battlefield with 2 additional +1/+1 counters on it. Yeah, so this is kind of run-of-the-mill 5 mana to return a creature from your graveyard to the battlefield. It's at sorcery speed, but it does get bigger. And those 2 counters go a long way. We do have a lot of, like I've said before, creatures that aren't really creatures or summon creatures, which just kind of die. There's a lot of really big ones, but oh, well, I guess reanimating some of the giant summons would be really cool. I'm still going to give this like a C+. I think it's nice, but you'll probably see this go around a little bit. Next up, we have side quest Hunt the Mark, which is a 3 black for an enchantment at uncommon. It says when this enchantment enters, destroy up to 1 target creature. Sweet. All right. I already like this. At the beginning of your end step, if a creature died under an opponent's control this turn, create a treasure token. Then if you control 3 or more treasure tokens, transform this enchantment into Yasmat Ultimate Mark, which is 5. It's a 5/6 legendary creature dragon, and it has an activated ability of you can pay 1 and a black, sacrifice another creature or artifact, and it gains indestructible until end of turn, and you tap it. Ooh, well, you have a bunch of artifacts from earlier. This it comes down, immediately kills something. You immediately get a treasure token. And then if you just have tokens lying around from other stuff, that just flips into a 5/6 that can be indestructible. I don't know. This seems pretty good. I'm really happy about this removal spell that turns into a 5/6 creature later, even if you aren't able to try to keep it alive. I don't know. It has a lot going for it. This is like a B+. This card seems sweet. It does a lot of things. And if this card gets passed to me, I'm going to be like, why is no one taking this? It does all the stuff you want it to do. Yeah, B+ for Hunt the Mark. Hell yeah, that's great. Next up, we have Summon Anima, which is 4 black for a 4/4 enchantment creature saga horror with menace. It has 4 chapters on the saga. The first 3 are the same, and they're called Pain. You draw a card and you lose a life. And then the 4th chapter is Oblivion. Each opponent sacrifices a creature of their choice and loses 3 life. So at the end, you will be at parity with your how much life you've lost from this card. And you get to 6 mana, 4/4 menace, draw a card, draw another card, draw another card. Your opponent has to sacrifice something, and it has, I don't know, it seems good. This seems great. This is like, we're totally happy to play this card. I wish it was a little bit bigger. A 4/4 at this stage of the game usually kind of will die, but getting a bunch of cards off of it is great. There will be situations where you can't play it because you might just die from it. But I mean, also in the situations you could just block and it will just be gone. But will you be happy about, well, 6 mana 4/4 that trades with a 4 toughness creature and you drew a card? It's not the worst thing. This is probably like a B. I like this card. The fact that you draw 3 cards off of it is crazy. But I do think that there will be certain points where you just can't play this. Next up, we have the rares. We're starting with Midgar City of Mako. This is a land town at rare, and it enters tapped and taps for black. But it also has an adventure, and it's called Reactor Raid. It's a sorcery, and it's 2 and a black. And it says you may sacrifice an artifact or creature. If you do, draw 2 cards. Sweet. This card is actually great. A lot of the adventure lands seem to be kind of a little bit of misses. Some of them are like not super exciting. I think this one's the best one. It's definitely my favorite one. It's from Final Fantasy VII, so sweet. But yeah, this, having a land and then in any of your black decks, you'll probably have something lying around to just sacrifice and draw 2 cards. But if you don't do that, it's just a land. Awesome. Awesome, awesome, awesome. This is probably closer to, I have a B right here, but I think it's probably just a B plus because it just will do what you want it to do. I think you're going to be extremely happy to play this card. And of all the lands, this is probably the only one that I'll pick one for my deck. If you want it for standard, taking all those lands is amazing. Always love taking lands and, making sure that you get the rares that you want for your arena collection. But this one will actually easily go into your deck. Love it. Love, love, love it. Next up, we have Ceil, Dark Knight, which is a single black for a 2/3 legendary creature, human knight at rare. It has Death Touch. A 1 mana 2/3 Death Touch is crazy. It also has an ability called Darkness. Whenever Ceil deals damage, you lose that much life. Okay, there you go. And then if your life total is less than or equal to your half of your starting life total, untap Ceil and transform it into Ceil Redeemed Paladin, which is a 4/4 legendary creature, human knight with lifelink, and it has the ability Protect. Whenever Ceil attacks, other attacking creatures you control gain indestructible until end of turn. Whoa! That is awesome. This card is really scary early, and then it gets really scary late. I don't know. It's a 1 mana 2/3 Death Touch. The life part is kind of hard. You probably want to be in a deck that can gain life, because turboing down to like nothing and then flipping this and then trying to kill them. Well, I guess you do gain life off the card. That's true, because it's it has lifelink, and you're going to gain 4 life each time. All right, so it's all kind of on the card there. Going into lifelink decks is really exciting. Makes all your other creatures indestructible. Comes down super early, flips into something strong, trades off with something. I think all that stuff wraps into probably like an A-. Like, I'm really happy playing this card, and I do kind of like the aggressive decks where you are just hurting yourself and you don't care about your life total. So this one makes me really excited. Ceil. The scary, also probably standard all-star. I'm not really talking about that, but super exciting. Next up, we have Kane, Traitorous Dragoon, which is 2 and a black for a 2/4 legendary creature, human knight at rare. It has jump. During your turn, Kane has flying. All right, so a 3 mana 2/4 flying. Okay. And then it says whenever Kane deals combat damage to a player, that player gains control of Kane. If they do, you draw that many cards, create that many tapped treasure tokens, then lose that much life. What? So your 3 mana 2/4 has flying, attacks them, you hit them, you lose 2 life, you draw 2 cards and create 2 treasure tokens, and they gain control of your creature and get to decide whether they give it back to you or not? I guess you get cards out of it, but then they get cards out of it too? I don't know what to do with this card. I don't like that at all. I don't want to give my opponent my creature, even if I am drawing cards. But, like, I also lose that much life. No, I don't like this. I think I'm just going to give this, like, a D. It's like a D+. It probably has some utility, but I don't really like it. I'm not really excited to put this card in my deck either. I don't want to give my opponent my cards. I don't want to give them anything. What a traitor. Stay on my side of the battlefield, Kane. Jeez. Next up, we have Ninja Blades, which is 2 and a black for an artifact equipment at rare. It has job select. It says equipped creature gets +1/+1 and is a ninja in addition to its other types, and has whenever this creature deals combat damage to a player, draw a card, then discard a card. That player loses life equal to the discarded card's mana value. And then the equip cost is 2. A 3-mana 2/2 that loots, and then you get to dome your opponent if you play, like, discarded a non-land card. I don't know. It kills them. It does kill them. 3-mana 2/2, obviously weak, but the fact that this can move around for 2 to do that to anyone, and you also don't have to you could just discard lands if you need to just, like, find other cards to play. This card seems pretty strong, and it can just dome them. Like, in a deck where we're doing the reanimating thing, where you're trying to discard, like, a big summon and bring it back with the Reawakened evil. That just all sounds like a lot of fun. I'm gonna give this, like, I want to give this an A-, but it's probably just a B+. This is like a B level card. You probably need more than just this card to win the game, but it is very exciting, and I like it a lot. But B+ for the Ninja Blades. Not an A range, unfortunately, but I love ninjas. Next up, we have Jekt, Reluctant Guardian, which is 3 and a black for a 4/3 legendary creature, human warrior at rare. He has Menace, and it says whenever Jekt deals combat damage to a player, you may exile it, then return it to the battlefield transformed under its owner's control as Braska's Final Aeon, which is a 7/7 legendary enchantment creature saga nightmare with Menace. It has 3 modes, 3 chapters. There we go. The first 2 are the same. It's Jekt Beam, which is each opponent discards a card and you draw a card. And then the ultimate Jekt Shot is the 3rd chapter. It says each opponent sacrifices 2 creatures of their choice. And then this one does just kind of die at the end of it. So a 4-mana 4/3 Menace that easily can deal combat damage to your opponent, and you don't have to flip Jekt as well. The May is huge here that we attack, but you probably want to, because a 7/7 Menace is fantastic, and making your opponents discard cards and you draw cards is also great. So you get to draw 2 cards off of this. Your opponent loses 2 cards. And then at the very end, your opponent has to sacrifice 2 of their creatures. Like, hopefully you're able to kill them during the 2nd chapter when you're attacking, but I don't know. This card seems pretty good. I'm probably just going to give this, like, an A, because it does just hit your opponent. It's probably like an A-, because you do want to flip it for all the great abilities to happen, but I don't think that's going to be too hard to do. Dealing combat damage, like, either your opponent has to block this thing, which, well, does suck. I still think it's an A-, though. I still really like it, but yes, there are boards where this does kind of nothing when it comes down. But if you ever get to flip it, shit's going down. And it's just awesome. Sweet. A-. Next up, we have Vincent Valentine, which is 2 black for a 2/2 legendary creature assassin at rare. It says whenever a creature an opponent controls dies, put a +1/+1 counter on Vincent equal to that creature's power. Whenever Vincent attacks, you may transform it. Just whenever it attacks. Sick. It transforms into Galleon Beast, which is a 3/2 legendary creature werewolf beast. It has trample and lifelink. And it says when Galleon Beast dies, return it to the battlefield tapped as Vincent. This card's fantastic. Like, it just sticks around forever. Whenever you're attacking, it just turns into this thing. And then it just dies and comes back as this thing. And the other thing you need to remember is that the counters will stay on Vincent when it flips. So you play this, you sacrifice them, like, you play this attack, some of your creatures die, or your opponent's creatures die, sorry. You get counters on your creature. Next turn you get to attack, the counters are still there, you gain a bunch of life. If they trade off, it just comes back as this, and then you get to do it all over again. I like all these things a lot. It is your creatures, your opponent's creatures dying, so you don't get to do all the sacrificey stuff you'd like to do, but I already think that you're just totally fine with that. Even just attacking with this guy and it coming back all the time seems cool. I don't know. I like this card a lot. We're going to give this like there's some synergy stuff. There's a lot of synergy stuff in the set. I'm going to give this like an A- as well, though. I think that this card is going to be quite good and annoying and cool and awesome. And yeah. All right, next up we have the Darkness Crystal, which is 2 black for a legendary artifact at rare. It says black spells you cast cost 1 less to cast, and if a non-token creature an opponent controls would die, instead exile it and you gain 2 life. All right, so every time one of your opponent's creatures die, you gain 2 life. Okay. And then it has an activated ability for black, put target creature card exiled with the Darkness Crystal onto the battlefield tapped under your control with 2 additional +1/+1 counters on it. Finally, we have a crystal that actually does something. This crystal is actually good. This you would actually want to play this, because even it just sitting around and keeping your, like, you get to gain life as it's just sitting here and you're just playing the game, and then later on you just get to start pumping out these creatures that you've been exiling or they've been dying. Obviously it's all your opponent's stuff, but you already want to kill your opponent's creatures. And you get to play their own creatures and attack them, and then they might have to block, and then you get that creature too, and you're gaining life while you're doing it. I don't know. All this wrapped together seems pretty strong. Is this an A-level card is the question. It's pretty slow, and the other thing is that it has to be on the battlefield for a while to exile all the stuff. You only get creatures that are exiled from it. So you can't just like exile other things in different situations and it just brings them back. So that is harder. So this is probably like a B+. I think it's really strong. I do think it's like the strongest one we've seen. B+ for the Darkness Crystal. It does win games, but it does take a while. I think you might have the time for it, but you never know. Well, the other upside is that whenever your opponent's creatures die, including their summons, it will exile it as well. So that's pretty cool too. A little bit of a bump there. You just get your opponent's summons for free. Not free, but you know, I like that. Next up, we have Zodiac Umbreal God, which is black. So 5 mana, 5 black mana. For a 5/5 legendary creature god at rare, it has Indestructible. And it says, when Zodiac enters, each player sacrifices half the non-god creatures they control of their choice, rounded down. And whenever a player sacrifices another creature, put a +1/+1 counter on Zodiac. This card looks super cool, very strong. Comes down, wipes the board, makes a huge indestructible creature. You're laughing all the way to the bank. The question is, can you actually cast this card at all? And the answer is probably no. Unless you're playing a mono black deck, which I do not advise. When you can play it, it's very strong. But I don't think that you should start off wanting to play this card. I don't want to say you shouldn't put it in your deck, but you probably shouldn't. This is probably an F. But I'm going to give it a D-. I'm going to say that there is a dream out there that you get the mono black deck and you get to play this sweet card and then just wreck your opponents. But I'm going to err on the side of you won't be able to do that. Maybe 1 in every 50 drafts you'll be able to pull this together. So lean on the side of don't put this in your deck and don't take this card. And then if you're feeling cheeky, maybe you can try it. But I'm not going to say it isn't powerful in draft. It's very powerful. It's just extremely hard to cast. Next up, we have Zenos Zalvas, which is 3 black for a 4/4 legendary creature, human noble warrior at rare. It has an ability, My First Friend. When Zenos enters, choose a creature an opponent controls. Until end of turn, creatures other than Zenos and the chosen creature get -2/-2. And when the chosen creature leaves the battlefield, transform Zenos into Shinryu Transcendent Rival, which is an 8/8 legendary creature dragon with flying. It says, as this creature transforms into Shinryu, choose an opponent. And it has an ability, Burning Chains. When the chosen player loses the game, you win the game. Okay, so that end text is really just commander stuff. This is kind of like a commander-y card because of that. But A 5-mana 4/4 that wipes everything. Like, you choose probably their biggest creature that won't die. And then try to wipe all the little stuff out of the way. That's pretty great. You do need to find a way to kill the chosen card. Because obviously this isn't ever going to do that. But once you do, an 8/8 flyer, like, just pretend the rest of the text is gone. Because obviously when your opponent loses the game, you win the game. And that only matters for a commander. But yeah, an 8/8 flyer just does win you the game. You do just basically win. So that's all pretty awesome. And even at the very worst, to just a 5-mana 4/4 wipe most of the board, I think we're pretty happy with that. It's an A+, because it's a board wipe on a creature that does a lot of stuff and hopefully can flip into this giant monster. So yeah, A+ for Zenos. I like you a lot. You're freaking sweet. Next up, we have Summon Primal Odin, which is 4 black for a 5/3. It's an enchantment creature Saga Knight at rare. And it has 3 chapters, and all 3 are different. The first one says, destroy target creature an opponent controls. 6 mana 5/3, just destroy a creature. Awesome. The second chapter says, the second chapter is, this creature gains, whenever this creature deals combat damage to a player, that player loses the game. Okay, sweet. And then the last chapter, chapter 3, is draw 2 cards, each player loses 2 life. So this comes down on 6, kills the biggest thing on their board, and then next turn, you're just like, well, if you can't block this thing, you're dead. If I can give this thing trample, you're dead. If I can give this thing flying, you're dead. That's basically what this card reads. I would probably want to spend a lot of the time in the game, like, trading off all of my creatures to make sure that the opponent's board is fairly clear. You play this, blow up their thing, they have 1 turn to try to deal with it, or block or whatever. And if you go for gold, you try to kill them. If it's obvious that you can't, you just get to draw 2 cards and then make them lose some life, and you lose some life too. And hey, 6 mana, blow something up, then draw cards later. Don't hate it. Don't hate it at all. This is also probably just an A. It's probably like an A-. It really is just a removal spell with the caveat of maybe I just win, which is great and very cool. Next up, we have Ardan, the Usurper. This is 5 black for a 4/4 legendary creature, Elder Human Noble at rare. So 3 black pips, that's a lot, but let's see what it does. It says, demons you control have menace, lifelink, and haste. Cool, this isn't a demon, so that's annoying. Luckily, it does have more text, called Star Scourge, which is, at the beginning of combat on your turn, exile up to 1 target creature card from a graveyard. If you exile the card this way, create a token that's a copy of that card, except it's a 5/5 black demon. Whoa, and it has menace, lifelink, and haste. So you play this pre-combat, exile the best thing in the graveyard, make it a 5/5 demon, attack and get whatever ETBs it has, or combat stuff. That is very exciting, and this card seems really dope. It is 8 mana, and 3 of those pips are black, but I will say that because it's 8 mana, the black pips don't bother me nearly as much, because by that point in the game, you can probably cast something like with that many pips. You do have to like skew your mana just a little bit just to make sure, but this is absolutely worth it. This comes down and wreaks havoc. Like, you gain so much life on the turn that you play this. Your opponent most likely won't have a removal spell up, so you get like 1 thing most likely. And then if he dies, it loses some of the abilities. They probably have to try to kill the demon so they don't just die. And then you just get to make another one on the following turn. I really like this card. This is an A+ again. Like, these are the big bombs that I'm talking about in this set, which is like, the game wants to go late, they get to play something awesome like this dude and then just win. Like, I don't know. I'm so excited to play Ardan. He's so cool. I'm very excited for this card. I don't even care about the triple black pips. I'm gonna shove this into whatever deck I can put it in. All right, now we're moving on to the mythic cards. Our first one is Dark Confidant, which is a reprint. It's 1 and a black for a 2/1 creature human wizard at mythic. It says at the beginning of your upkeep, reveal the top card of your library and put that card into your hand. You lose life equal to its mana value. Now, This is a very classic Magic card. Fun to have it in the set. His name is Bob, but you know, the art is different, so it's not necessarily the same Bob. So, you know, but if you hear people say Bob, they're talking about this guy. I think that this could be pretty good in specific decks. Like I said before, there are a lot of really expensive spells in this set. But this card, if you're playing a lower to the ground aggressive deck, where you get to play this and draw double spells, and the point of your deck is trying to do all the wizardy stuff with really cheap spells. Like if you don't have anything above 4, like really 3 mana, I don't want to lose too much life off of this. But remember that a lot of your deck is lands anyway. And so if you draw a land off of Bob, you don't get hurt at all. And getting the extra card advantage is really important. I don't think he's a bomb necessarily, but in the right deck with the right wizards build where you're just trying to get fuel for your wizards to cast as many spells as you can and kill your opponent that way, Bob will be extremely helpful. And I don't know if other people are going to want to have Bob because they're playing cards like Ardan or whatever big giant 8 mana spell that just would kill them if they drew it off of Bob. So it's a very specific deck, but I think it's probably like a B+ in that deck because you need to fuel yourself very early, very quickly, and Bob's a great way to do that. So, yeah, be very, very careful in this set, but yeah, I think Bob's great. Next up, we have Sepharoth, Fabled Soldier. Boy, if we're talking about great cards, this is a great one. It says 2 and a black for a 3/3 legendary creature, human avatar soldier at Mythic. It says whenever Sepharoth enters or attacks, you may sacrifice another creature. If you do, draw a card. That is already amazing. You play Sepharoth, sacrifice your heck dice or whatever, draw a card. It attacks, sacrifice something stupid, draw a card. Amazing. It says whenever another creature dies, target opponent loses 1 life and you gain 1 life. If this is the 4th time this ability has resolved this turn, you get to transform Sepharoth into Sepharoth One-Winged Angel, which is a 5/5 legendary creature, angel nightmare avatar with flying. And it has the ability Supernova. As this creature transforms into Sepharoth, you get an emblem with whenever a creature dies, target opponent loses 1 life and you gain 1 life. And whenever Sepharoth attacks, you may sacrifice any number of other creatures. If you do, draw that many cards. It's an emblem that you get for transforming your card. This card is so strong. The one thing I'm worried about is that it's going to be extremely hard to flip this card because once you play it, your opponent's not going to really help you lose any of your creatures. But then I guess you're just attacking your opponent anyway and just kills them. So maybe you don't even have to flip them. Just playing this, sacrificing a creature, draining your opponent, attacking with a bunch of creatures. They don't want to trade off. You get to hit them for damage. If they do trade off, they lose a bunch of life and you flip this into this crazy thing that's going to kill them. I don't know. Sepharoth seems fantastic, really good in the sacrifice decks, but also just pretty exciting anywhere else. I don't know if this is a full A+ thing. You know what? I don't care. I'm gonna give this an A+. I want to play the sacrifice deck so much, and I think you'll be able to figure out things. The only downside, the only thing, is that the first ability only cares about, well, I guess both abilities only care about creatures dying, not artifacts, which a lot of the rest of the decks do care about artifacts, so you need to remember that. The reason that they do that is because you can't just sacrifice a bunch of like treasure tokens to flip Sepharoth, and then that would be kind of busted. But if you can flip this guy, you do win the game. And don't forget, the Phantom Train will be amazing with Sepharoth because you get to play Sepharoth and then sacrifice whatever you need to then flip Sepharoth that turn. Also, just when you're playing this deck, make sure you don't block a bunch because you want to make sure that when you actually draw this card, you have a full board that's ready to get sacrificed. So there are some little caveats, but I don't think it's really hard to just win with this card. It's going to be a kill on sight, but you already drew a card, so it doesn't matter. Sepharoth is phenomenal. So cool. God, he's just awesome. But anyway, folks, that has been all the black cards for the Final Fantasy set. Let me know what you think in the comments below about what cards I either rated too highly or too lowly, or whatever your opinions are, or what your favorite art is, or just whatever. Check out all the other videos. There's one for every color. There's multicolor, bonus sheet, the colorless cards, all that stuff. And yeah, get ready for all your Final Fantasy drafts, because I don't know, it's coming up soon. But anyway, folks, thank you so much for watching, and I will see you again next time. Bye.